Hi everyone, welcome to Curiosity, the science show presented by Young Academy of India. My name is Professor Felix Bast. I'm talking to you in front of a very famous building, iconic building rather in Rajasthan. I'm right here in the capital of Rajasthan, Jaipur, with my mother. We came for sightseeing, and this place is called Jal Mahal. This is a very beautiful palace of water, right in the center of the city. So excited to show you yet another place. Last episode was shot in Canberra, remember, in Australia, right? So yeah, as usual, this show, the Curiosity, is a roundup of science-related stories which got published or happened in the last month, and also what to look for in the month to come. That is the October 2025. This is 72nd episode. It's a long way, right? We started this show almost 5 years ago, even before 5 years, isn't it? Before the COVID-19 time. So as usual, we start this show with etymology of the month's name October. So where does this name, funny name, isn't the pattern repeats from September? So September, October, November, and December, all umber kind of month. So the etymology, if you look at the word, history of this word, it's actually coming from Sanskrit. All the four are coming from Sanskrit. October also, right? Ashta, right? The Sanskrit word Ashta means number 8. So October used to be 8th month when the whole year was just 10 months long, during the Roman calendar system. Well, now we no longer follow this Roman calendar once popular in the BC times. Now we have Gregorian calendar system, isn't it? Yeah. So according to florography, the month of October it is month of calendula, marigold daisies, that beautiful, ubiquitous, omnipresent flowers, isn't it? The yellow or orangish yellow flowers, yeah. And October is also a month of Nobel Prize, so all the Nobel Prize will be announced shortly, which we are going to cover in the November episode of Curiosity. Okay, so stay tuned for the next month's episode. And also, of course, Ig Nobel Prize, right? Ig Nobel is something that makes you laugh at first, but then makes you think. That just got announced, 2025 winners of Ig Nobel that we are going to cover in this episode of the Curiosity. I really love Ig Nobel Prize more than Nobel Prize. The reason is that Ig Nobel Prize award for curiosity, so something really interesting, curiosity driven research, which we have focused, which we have already covered in our Curiosity show many times. Many of uh, uh, the papers that got into our show eventually won Ig Nobel Prize. That's pretty interesting, isn't it? And also this month, October, is also for spectacular asteroid showers, meteor showers, and also for many space missions, Indian included, right? So stay tuned for learning more about what to look for in the month of October. Right. So as usual, let's start the show with last month's science-related news. So the first news is about autism. So, well, we know autism or autism spectral disease. It's pretty bad, isn't it? So, well, why there is the spectral disease, so autism, right? It's not about one gene is responsible for it. It's polygenic, right? Multiple genes are responsible for autism. But this new paper, which I read with lots of interest, which got published in a very good journal called Molecular Biology and Evolution, argues that autism spectral disease might be a byproduct, or a trade-off for human cognitive revolution. So human being, if you look with our primate ancestors, like chimpanzee, for instance, we have vastly, right, with heaps and bounds, we progressed with the cognition and consciousness, isn't it? The communication, for example, in a language faculty have tremendously improved. So that improvement, especially in L2, L3, IT neurons, right? So these neurons, IT neuron, L2 and L3 IT neuron, it's called L2, L3 IT neurons. So those neurons, as these neurons get much more strengthened and elongated, that linked to the trade-off. The trade-off is maladaptive. So, well, natural selection selects those with best L2, L3 IT neurons. At the same time, The byproduct of it, the maladaptive trait, is that those with the best cognition are also tend to be autism susceptible. So it's kind of a trade-off that is pretty interesting. It's quite similar to the case of hemoglobin alleles, right? HbS is the normal one, while HbA and HbS, isn't it? So yeah, HbS is a variant, it's a kind of a mutant of a hemoglobin, and now this mutant hemoglobin is resistant to malaria. That is very advantageous, isn't it? So that is why this mutation is still in existence. So that is, that is this, it's selected for. At the same time, those with this mutation, while they are resistant to malaria, are also susceptible for sickle cell disease in case you get both the copies of this recessive allele. So there is always trade-off, the evolutionary trade-off. That is pretty interesting. The next paper is about parenting. So if you have some adamant teenagers at home, many people ask me in my classes in FTPs and all. So yeah, well, reading is pretty good habit, but how do we inculcate our children to read it? They're always in front of mobile phone, isn't it? It's a frequent complaint. The reason is that you should read it. The kids will end up doing what you are doing at your home, isn't it? So if you're someone in scrolling all the time in the mobile phone, the kids will also end up like that. So the way teenagers receive their parents' warning depends less on the message. It's not about how appropriate your message is or how morally correct sounding, or the message crafted in such a way that it elicit a positive response or polite way or kindness. No, that is not the case at all. It's more to do with whether the parents genuinely living their own values. Are you doing what you preach? That is where yeah, the importance matters. This paper got published in Journal of Youth and Adolescence. Yeah, it's really interesting paper. Children are always first to be able to see their own parents, so yeah, they end up doing what the parents are doing. If the parents are hypocritical, the kids will also grow up with hypocrisy, isn't it? Yeah, if you do not do what you preach, isn't it? That is a hypocrisy. Yeah. Next story is that NASA scientists, it's a study from the NASA. What they were looking is about sun's activity. So solar maxima, and then, well, sun usually have a period of 11 years, So then it peaks up at the end of 11 years, and then it slowly started going down. But this year, well, basically the pattern started in 2008. So 2008, we thought it is solar maxima, and every subsequent year it should actually go down. At least it should not increase, isn't it? The solar activity, the coronal mass ejection, but not the case. So our modeling was completely wrong. All the mathematical modeling, which we predicted that the solar maxima will, solar activity will start decreasing since 2008, was wrong. Now it is increasing, and we still don't understand why it is increasing. Well, it has got a double, it's a double whammy situation. It's a catch-22 situation for climate change dialogues. So that is why it is really going to be tough, So that of course that lead to increase in temperatures too, isn't it? The global mean temperature will skyrocket because of this exceptional anomaly in the sun's activity. Yeah. Next is about labor. Well, this paper, the NASA's the paper, the solar paper got published in a very famous journal called the Astrophysical Journal Letters. So check out the show notes for the links to all these articles. One click that will take you directly to the the journal articles. Okay. Next is completely a different paper which I really read with lots of interest, which got published in Labor Studies Journal. It's a humanities paper. So it's about the labor unions. So what is the impact of joining a labor union for the workers? Mental well-being, physical well-being, and all. So the paper looked at the hospital healthcare workers. So unionization among these workers have led to significantly higher raises their salary increased significantly. And also no overtime work pressure, that means mental well-being, and also access to the insurance, experiencing less workplace harassment from higher and also the higher mental well-being. So yeah, it's in all senses this is good. The unionization of the workers is it's really good for the workers point of view, isn't it? How about patient's point of view? I completely read this paper, but I couldn't see anywhere about the paper looking at the patient's point of view, the end user. Now, all the stakeholders should be considered, isn't it? So I will definitely encourage the authors to undertake the same study, looking at the patients also, right? Are the patients more happy with having their healthcare workers joining in a union or not? Gonna be pretty interesting. Next is coming from botany. The paper got published in a journal called Nature Plants, very famous journal, Nature, Nature Group. It's about the trees. They were looking at the trees of Amazon and what is the impact of the climate change. So as you know, in the terrestrial ecosystem, the land plants, the increase in CO2 level is in a way good for these plants because it gets more and more carbon dioxide and the photosynthetic rate will increase. It grows better. So yes, as per the predictions, these trees are also getting taller as the global warming increases. If you look back in time, for example, 20, 30 years ago, the trees, the Amazonian rainforest trees were of much shorter, the heights were much shorter, while now there is an increasing in trend. And also, the forests also get fattened up. They absorb extra CO2. Well, it's all about carbon sequestration, right? Removal of the extra CO2 from the atmosphere. At the same time, look, it's only a partial story. Most of the carbon sequestration happens in ocean, and oceans are not getting any benefit now. It's not like situations of the plants, the land plants. When CO2 mixes with seawater, what will happen? Carbonic acid is being formed, pH is reduced. That leads to ocean acidification that is having catastrophic consequences. So yeah, so it's ironically it's completely different what is happening in the ocean. The greatest carbon absorber, the carbon sequester of the planet Earth. Another paper coming from this humanity journal. This journal is called SSM Mental Health, a highly reputed Q1 journal. This is about retirement. So does retirement increases happiness level or mental health, or it decreases? The study looked at various economic strata, the high income earners and low income earners, and then they were looking at the impact of their retirement on their mental health. Well, it can boost the mental health for some people, but not for all. So specifically, people with low income group showed initial improvement. Just after retirement, they showed that they get much better well-being as well as happiness level. But then after some years, it started decreasing. So there is a threshold, weighing period, isn't it? It's like a honeymoon, right? Fading honeymoon effect. So it is 2.5 years. So the first 2.5 years, they were much more happier. At the same time, after that, then the happiness level started decreasing. So yeah, that's pretty interesting, isn't it? So yeah. At the same time, this effect is not the case for high income group. So the people who are already earning too good. So before and after retirement, not much of difference in their happiness level. So basically, when I was reading this one, isn't it just confounding factor of money? So if you are, low income bracket person means you might not have enough bank savings. So naturally, happiness level will be less than those who are high income, isn't it? So it might be just because of the money. Yeah. Nevertheless, the paper is pretty interesting. Yeah. Next story is about post-mortem tissue from the people with Alzheimer's disease, and they were looking at the where they are living. So those who are living in area with So much of air pollution. Now, well, here air pollution season is coming up. Within a couple of weeks, it's going to start and it's going to skyrocket by November, So I hate this season, honestly speaking. In the North India, here in Punjab, yeah, November is like pollution season. Now, this pollution and Alzheimer's connection, that is what they were looking in the post-mortem tissues. And what they found is that those who lived in areas with higher concentrations of the particulate matter, so PM 2.5 and PM5, even just 1 year of life in those areas have got more severe accumulation of amyloid plaques. That is a hallmark of Alzheimer's pathology. You compare with those with less exposure. So air pollution with Alzheimer's link is crystal clear in this paper, JAMA Neurology. Check out the paper in the show notes. Next story is about wild chimpanzees. Well, by the way, this, if you check the show notes, you will see the links to all the stories in the blog. And in the blog, for every month of Curiosity, I also feature a cover image. For this month's episode of Curiosity, the magazine Curiosity, the cover image is a very famous primatologist. Primatologist is the scientist who study primates. Professor Dame Jane Goodall. So Professor Goodall is an example of extraordinary curiosity driven scientist. She wasn't even a scientist, she earned the PhD later, and even she became a professor at Harvard. So yeah, the Professor Goodall is one of the most prominent chimpanzee scientists in the world. So she spent decades studying about the behavior of the chimpanzee and published so many remarkable papers on chimpanzee tool use. For example, one of her famous paper is about the tool use of chimpanzee. Like chimpanzee can make some twigs and they can fish out the ants to eat it. So before that paper got published, we thought that tool making is a human faculty. So no other animal can make the tools. No, you're wrong. That's what Professor Goodall told everyone. We are not special. So chimpanzee are not like any other animal. They are like us, isn't it? So it has completely transformed the field of ethology and primatology. Goodall has spent most of her career at Tanzania, and not only that, she is an inspiration for all the female scientists. She's self-educated, didn't even have the PhD while starting her career in primatology, and especially during those times when women were discounted as second-class citizens, even in the England, So that's an amazing work that she has done. Recently passed away. Only for 5 days back, she passed away. She will always be remembered as one of the first-class chimpanzee primatologist, So yeah, Professor Dame Jane Goodall. Check out the BBC note on the obituary of this very famous scientist. Powers to her family. Yeah. So this story, the eighth story, is again about the wild chimpanzees. There is a very interesting, hypothesis about alcohol use in human being. Evolutionary origins of it. What would be the functions of it? And when exactly the genes responsible for degrading alcohol originated, in our evolutionary legacy. So the hypothesis is called drunken monkey hypothesis. So the monkeys, they were attracted to the smell of, fruits, isn't it? The fruits which are completely ripened. So ripened fruits also have ethanol. They release a lot of ethanol like smell, and that attracted. So the monkeys started eating lots and lots of this kind of fully ripened and fermenting, these fruits, and they started a fondness towards alcohol. And if you look at the phylogeny as well, in the monkeys, it actually started, that some of the genes responsible for degrading alcohol in our metabolic pathways. One key mutation is called ADH4 mutation, that is alcohol dehydrogenase 4 mutation. Okay, so that happened even in the chimpanzee. The same mutation, you can see it. So that means that drunken monkey hypothesis could be true. Well, the new paper is that wild chimpanzee, the authorities were looking at their consumption. And what they found is that they consume about 2 cocktails of alcohol in a day, you know, in the form of boozy fruit. They are not drinking alcohol per se, but they eat fermenting fruits through which they are getting two standard drinks or cocktails. Pretty interesting, isn't it? Yeah, that is the paper. Check out the show notes for the paper. This got published in another famous journal, Science Advances, right? And another related paper on alcoholism. Even light alcohol drinking raises dementia risk. Remember, last story was about Alzheimer's. So Alzheimer's is a kind of a dementia, isn't it? So risk of dementia skyrockets with every single drink. And there is no safe limit when it comes to alcohol. Yeah, pretty interesting. Yeah, the study showed that a steady increase in dementia risk as alcohol intake increased without any sign of benefit at lower levels. So many earlier papers argued that lower level, like one small peg a day, is beneficial. It relieves the stress. It makes you live longer. Not really, you know. So when it comes to dementia risk, there is no safe limit at all. At all. Well, next story is a pretty interesting, a funny story, and this story won this year's Ig Nobel Prize. For the uninformed, Ig Nobel Prize is awarded at Boston, attended by the real Nobel Prize winners, and the jovial atmosphere. People play with paper airplanes, and it's pretty interesting, something like a Halloween for scientists, and many winners of Ig Nobel eventually won Nobel Prize and vice versa. Many real Nobel laureates have won Ig Nobel Prize too. So it's not the case that Ig Nobel Prize is, anti-Nobel Prize. Not really. Ig Nobel Prize is as good as the Nobel Prize. Okay. So 2025, this person, the author of this paper, won the Ig Nobel Prize. The paper is about smartphone use in toilet. Interesting, isn't it? How many of you check your scrolls, Instagram or Facebook, or watch some YouTube video when you poop? Those who do have substantially high risk of hemorrhoids. So hemorrhoid is anal fistula, isn't it? Yeah, so the hemorrhoid risk is vastly high for those who use smartphone in their toilet. The problem with smartphone is that it's highly addictive. The live feed hooks you up, isn't it? So you spend more time sitting in that position, and that position is stressful for small blood vessels in your anal area, and there is a high chance of rupture if you spend longer time. So ideally it should be less than 3 minutes, but if you spend more than like 5 minutes, there is a tremendously high chance of eventually developing hemorrhoids. So the paper we're looking at now, it says a risk of hemorrhoid risk is almost 50% high for those who uses smartphone. So while reading this paper, I was thinking, well, how about reading book? Or newspaper, same story. So it doesn't matter, smartphone or a book or a newspaper. So if you use a toilet for anything else, which hooks your concentration in such a way that you are forced to spend more time there, that is not good news for the hemorrhoid risk profile concern. Okay, so yeah, so this particular paper got published in PLOS One, another good journal, PLOS One. Finally, it's time for other Ig Nobel Prize winners, 2025 winners. And I'm happy to share that one of the awardees is coming from India. It's for first time ever an Indian wins Ig Nobel Prize. So congratulations to Vikash Kumar and Sarthak Mittal. The duo is coming from SNU, Greater Noida in Delhi, the national capital region. SNU is basically Shiv Nadar University, pretty famous private university of there. So they are from Department of Engineering, and what they were looking is the SNU, the Shiv Nadar has got hostel, and they were just curious to see about the stinky shoes in the toilet, I mean in the hostel. uh, Yeah, so just before going to the men's hostel, they remove their shoes and keep it in shoe rack. Now the shoe rack, they were looking at the design optimization of the shoe rack design. One of the big problems with shoe rack design is that shoe racks are so stinky, isn't it? So they want to minimize a stink by designing some interesting shoe rack. And then they found it. So basically they looked at what kind of bacteria is the reason for the stink. They identified the bacteria. That is pretty interesting. Engineering students working on microbiology to identify the kind of bacteria. And then they fine-tuned how to get rid of this bacteria most efficiently in engineering perspective. They've come up with a solution of a UVB lights. You can just turn it on just for a few seconds and that bacteria is killed. Eventually, no longer that stinky shoe problem in the SNU hostel. Good job, Vikash Kumar and Sarthak Mittal for winning this prestigious Ig Nobel Prize. Congratulations to you both. Well, other awards includes, biology award for, well, Ig Nobel also has got various disciplines, right? Biology award goes to a Japanese scientist whose work I've already featured in Curiosity many years back. Way back in 2019, if you check back in that episode of Curiosity, you will see that a very interesting curiosity driven work, that why zebra has got its own stripes. Black and white stripe design of zebra. Does it have any function, evolutionary function? To know that, what they did, they simply recruited some cow and they simply painted the cow with this strip. So white cow they painted with black paint, on their coat, the skin. And they were looking at what kind of adaptation it could lead to, and they found, they singled out one of the main adaptation is insect or fly deterrence. Those with this zebra lines, flies don't like that pattern and they avoid it. So that is the reason, or that is the function of these lines for the zebra. Exciting, isn't it? That's very interesting. Curiosity driven research that won this award. Fantastic. And also, for aviation, award goes to alcohol. Again, a related story, that ethanol ingestion affects flight performance and echolocation in Egyptian fruit bats. Yeah, but like drunken monkey hypothesis that we covered, bats also drink alcohol in the form of fermented fruits. So those bats which are consuming fermented fruits are drunken bats. So does it have an impact on echolocation? The navigation efficiency? Yeah, it does. That is what the paper is arguing about. Pretty interesting. Now, alcohol in Dutch people in Netherlands, another pretty interesting winner story got published, is about, does it lead to courage to speak foreign language? Yes, it does. So it's very interesting. So effects of acute alcohol consumption on self ratings and observer ratings of foreign language skills. So those who drink alcohol tend to rate themselves, and also the observer tend to rate them as more fluent in that language. Pretty interesting, isn't it? Another winner of this year's Ig Nobel is about garlic. The nursing mothers who consume garlic, eventually, of course, the baby will get every single molecule through the breast milk, right? So they're looking at the baby's, the reaction when the mother just had a meal with lots of garlic, and they found that babies appreciate the taste of milk. The milk taste will subtly change, right, when mother consumes garlic, and that's pretty interesting, that so that the milk becomes more appealing to the infants. Another award, well, this award is for literature. I don't know why literature, but this is about a historian who were tracking at the thumbnail growth for 35 years meticulously every single year. How much and what kind of variables, like when we eat or when he exercise, how much is this growth of this nail, thumbnail growth for 35 years, self experimentation, isn't it? Yeah. He also won the award, pretty interesting. And another bizarre story is in Togo, the Pacific island. Rainbow lizard have these lizards developed a fondness for four cheese pizza. No other pizza, only four cheese variant of pizza. So many interesting. All these, please check out the show notes that will take you to the Journal of Improbable Research. That is a homepage of the Ig Nobel Prize. And please check that out, okay? Also, you can check out our Facebook group as well as our Google group for more exciting science stories, right? Next part of curiosity is about the observances that you can expect in the month of October. October 4th is Space Week, 5th is World Teachers Day, and also, yeah, the month of October is for lots of meteor showers. The first meteor shower is Camelopardalid meteor shower that's going to happen on 5th of October. 6th is World Habitat Day and also Moon Saturn conjunction. One photo, both Moon and Saturn will come on 6th. 7th is the full moon of October called Harvest Moon. 8th is Draconid meteor shower. Well, these meteor showers are really good in case you are living in somewhere in the Himalayas or somewhere where light pollution is very less. So 10th is World Mental Health Day. This episode also featured several stories on mental health, isn't it? That's really important. And also 10th is, you can see another meteor shower called Southern Taurid meteor shower. 11th is World Girl Child Day. And also Delta Origid meteor shower. 12th is Migratory Bird Day. 13th is Disaster Risk Reduction Day. And 14th is another conjunction, Moon Jupiter conjunction. 16th is International Food Day. You know, the food security, right? Very important commemoration. 17th is World Poverty Eradication Day. 18th is another meteor shower called Epsilon Geminid meteor shower. And 20th is World Statistics Day. 21st is Orionid meteor shower, very famous meteor shower, probably the most important meteor shower of 2025. That is going to happen on 21st of October. Orionid, because if you look at the constellation Orion, you will see that this meteor shower seemingly starts from the Orion and spreads everywhere. Yeah. 24th is Leonis Minorid meteor shower. Oh, so many meteor shower. And in case you want to see Mercury, which you haven't yet, 30th and 31st of October are the best day. 30th is greatest elongation in the east, Mercury at its greatest elongation. And 31st is Mercury at its highest altitude in the evening sky. So look towards your west side shortly after sunset on these days, okay? The evening sky, just after sunset, look towards your west. You can easily spot Mercury, the best time of the year to watch the Mercury. Yeah. And many space missions are also scheduled for this month. Let's start from ISRO. So ISRO's LVM-3 GSAT-7R, that is going to happen somewhere in the middle of October. So this particular satellite will be taken by ISRO's own rocket LVM-3, and this particular satellite is a replacement to older satellite called GSAT-7. So this is the latest iteration of the GSAT satellite, telecommunication satellite, is it 7R? So yeah, and another massive payload rocket is going to be SpaceX Starship Flight 11. Everyone is looking forward to this. It's really massive, and this one is, well, it's unmanned, but eventually this mission and the same Starship, the NASA is planning to take in their Artemis mission to go to moon, manned, the lunar expedition, right? So Starship Flight 11 is going to launch in this month. Then Blue Origin, another American company, Blue Origin's Glenn Flight 2 is also expected to launch in this month. HTV-X1 of Japan, JAXA, and this is by the Mitsubishi. This is basically a refueling mission for ISS, International Space Station. That will also happen in this month. So many pretty interesting, the space launches are scheduled to happen in October. final part of the curiosity is about opportunities for the young researchers and students. Ministry of Education, several calls are still open. UK Commonwealth Scholarship for going to the UK for doing your PhD and masters. Duosimia, Italy, Thailand government scholarship, and Bangladesh scholarships are open. UK Shivening Scholarship, if you are interested to do 1 year masters in the UK, Shivening Scholarship is also open. Call for applications for the International Arctic Science Committee Fellowship Program is open. This is for 2026 year. The deadline falls on 20th October. So if you're someone who has done some work on Arctic science, to apply. Call for nominations for IUPAC Committee for Chemistry Education Award for recognizing excellent teachers working and learning of chemistry. Deadline is 15th October. T&Q Inspiring Science Award, 15th October. And also please do join our Google group as well as Facebook group, to stay abreast with latest development in the world of science. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Curiosity, and you can just watch this Jal Mahal. And yeah, so I've been traveling with my mother somewhere in Jaipur area as well as Pushkar, another pretty interesting lake. Just like this lake, there's another lake of the Pushkar, and also Pushkar has got a temple, Brahma temple. So yeah, some of these places are in our list. So yeah, stay tuned. I hope you really like this show. In case you like this episode of Curiosity, why don't you watch some other episode of Curiosity too? Like last one, which we shot in Australia. There are several other videos of Australia which I shot. So please check out our, the channel to access those shots. And in case you like it, please consider sharing it in your group, okay, so that others can also get benefited out of the videos like this, which I produce without any ads running in my channel. There is no monetization. I will never turn on the monetization in my channel. So thank you so much and take care of yourself. And if you can, someone else too. Goodbye.